17-year-old Luna Rodriguez had always been the girl with paint under her fingernails. While other kids spent their afternoons scrolling through social media or hanging out at the mall, Luna could be found in her makeshift art studio. It wasn't much to look at, just the converted garage behind her family's small house in downtown Phoenix. But to Luna it was her sanctuary. The walls were covered with her creations. Bright paintings of desert sunsets mixed with portraits of people she'd seen around the neighborhood. There was the old man who sold fruit from his cart every morning, captured in bold strokes of orange and yellow. A painting of her little brother Diego sleeping, done in soft blues and grays. Her mother Isabella working late into the night at their kitchen table, paying bills by lamplight. Luna's art teacher, Mrs. Chen, always said she had a gift. "You see things differently," she would tell Luna after class. "You paint emotions, not just what's in front of you." Luna had won 3 local art contests in the past 2 years. The prize money wasn't much, $50 here, $100 there, but it helped her buy more supplies and made her mother smile with pride. But for the past few weeks, something had been wrong. Luna found herself getting tired during her afternoon painting sessions. At first, she thought it was just the Arizona heat getting to her. Even in October, the garage could get pretty warm. But then she started getting bruises that she couldn't remember getting. Dark purple marks on her arms and legs that seemed to appear out of nowhere. "Maybe you're just working too hard, mija," her mother Isabella said one evening, noticing Luna rubbing her temples. Isabella worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices early in the morning and serving tables at a family restaurant until late at night. She understood being tired. You should rest more, but Luna couldn't rest. Art was calling to her constantly. She had this feeling, like there were so many paintings still trapped inside her waiting to come out. She would wake up in the middle of the night with ideas for new pieces, colors and shapes dancing in her mind until she had to get up and sketch them in her notebook. The morning everything changed started like any other Tuesday. Luna woke up early to work on a painting before school. She'd been working on a piece showing a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, but something about it wasn't right yet. As she reached for her paintbrush, she noticed her hand was shaking. Not just a little bit, really shaking like she was nervous about something. But she felt fine. "That's weird," she said to herself, trying to steady her hand. She managed to add a few more details to the butterfly's wings before Diego burst into the garage. "Luna, Mom says you need to come eat breakfast or you'll be late for school again," her 12-year-old brother announced. He was already dressed in his soccer uniform, ready for practice after school. During breakfast, Luna felt dizzy when she stood up to put her bowl in the sink. The room seemed to spin for a moment and she had to grab the counter to steady herself. "Are you okay?" Isabella asked, looking up from packing Diego's lunch. "Yeah, just stood up too fast," Luna replied, but she saw the worry in her mother's eyes. At school, Luna's friend Kai noticed she seemed off during lunch. "You look really pale," Kai said, unwrapping her sandwich. "Like more than usual." Luna laughed it off, but when she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror later, she had to admit Kai was right. Her usually olive skin looked grayish, and there were dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't hide. The next few days brought more strange symptoms. Luna would get out of breath just walking up the stairs to her second period class. Her joints ached like she had the flu, but she didn't have a fever. The bruises kept appearing, and now she was getting nosebleeds too. Isabella finally put her foot down on Friday morning when Luna nearly fainted getting out of bed. "We're going to the doctor," she said firmly. "No arguments." "But Mom, we can't afford—" I don't care what it costs," Isabella interrupted. "Something is wrong and we need to find out what." The clinic was busy that afternoon. Luna and Isabella sat in the waiting room for almost 2 hours. Luna tried to sketch in her notebook to pass the time, but her hand kept shaking. The drawings came out wobbly and strange. Dr. Martinez was kind but thorough. He asked lots of questions about Luna's symptoms while examining her. He pressed gently on her neck and under her arms, feeling for something Luna didn't understand. "I'd like to run some blood tests," he said finally. "There are a few things I want to check." The blood draw was quick, but Luna felt even dizzier afterward. They had to wait another hour for the results. Isabella held Luna's hand in the small examination room, both of them trying not to think about what might be wrong. When Dr. Martinez came back, his face was serious. Luna felt her stomach drop even before he started talking. "Luna, Isabella, I need to be honest with you about what the blood tests show," he began, pulling up a chair to sit across from them. "Luna's white blood cell count is extremely high, and her red blood cells and platelets are very low. Combined with her symptoms, this suggests she may have leukemia." The word hit Luna like a punch to the chest. Leukemia. Cancer. She'd heard of it, of course, but it was something that happened to other people, not to 17-year-old girls who just wanted to paint. Isabella gasped and reached for Luna's hand. "Are you sure? Could it be something else?" "We need to do more tests to be certain," Dr. Martinez said gently. "I'm going to refer you to an oncologist, a cancer specialist. They'll need to do a bone marrow biopsy to confirm the diagnosis and determine exactly what type of leukemia we're dealing with." Luna felt like she was floating above her body, watching this conversation happen to someone else. The doctor kept talking about treatment options and survival rates, but the words seemed to blur together. "The good news," Dr. Martinez was saying, "is that if this is what I think it is, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, it's very treatable, especially in young people. The cure rate is quite high with proper treatment." "What does treatment look like?" Isabella asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Chemotherapy, primarily. It's usually done in phases over about 2 years. Luna would need to come in regularly for treatments." Isabella nodded, but Luna could see her mother's hands shaking as she tried to take notes on the back of an envelope. That evening, Luna sat in her garage studio, staring at the unfinished butterfly painting. The butterfly was halfway out of its cocoon, wings spread but still partially trapped. She picked up her brush and added some darker shading around the cocoon. Sometimes, she thought, breaking free was harder than it looked. The appointment with the oncologist was scheduled for the following Tuesday. In the meantime, Luna tried to keep going to school and working on her art, but everything felt different now. Colors seemed less bright. Her usual excitement about new projects felt dampened by this heavy worry that sat in her chest. She didn't tell her friends about the possible diagnosis yet. How do you even start that conversation? "Hey, by the way, I might have cancer." It felt too big, too scary to say out loud. But as Luna worked late into the night on her paintings, adding layer after layer of color to express feelings she couldn't put into words, she made herself a promise. Whatever this was, whatever came next, she wasn't going to let it stop her from creating. Art had always been her way of making sense of the world. Now more than ever, she was going to need it. The oncologist's office felt like a different world. Everything was too clean, too white, too quiet. Luna sat between her mother Isabella and her brother Diego, all three of them staring at the pamphlets scattered across Dr. Williams's desk. Pamphlets with titles like Understanding Leukemia and What to Expect During Chemotherapy. Dr. Williams was a gentle woman in her 50s who spoke in a calm, steady voice that somehow made terrible news sound manageable. "The bone marrow biopsy confirms it's acute lymphoblastic leukemia," she explained, showing them charts and diagrams that Luna couldn't quite focus on. "The good news is we caught it early, and this type responds very well to treatment." "What exactly does treatment involve?" Isabella asked, her notebook ready to capture every detail. "We'll start with induction therapy, intensive chemotherapy to get the cancer into remission. That's typically about a month of treatment. Then we move to consolidation and maintenance phases. The entire treatment plan runs about 2 years. 2 years. Luna tried to imagine herself 2 years from now. She'd be 19, maybe in college if everything went well. Would she still be painting? Would she still be the same person? "Now let's talk about costs," Dr. Williams continued, and Luna saw her mother's pen pause above the paper. "With your current insurance, you'll be responsible for about 30% of the treatment costs. The total will likely run around $200,000 over the full treatment period." The number hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Luna did quick math in her head. 30% of $200,000 was $60,000. Her mother made maybe $35,000 a year working both her jobs. Even if Isabella worked twice as hard, they'd never have that kind of money. "Are there payment plans?" Isabella asked quietly. "Of course. The hospital has financial assistance programs, and we can work out a payment schedule. The most important thing is starting treatment as soon as possible." Luna started chemotherapy the following Monday. The infusion center was actually brighter than she'd expected, with big windows and comfortable reclining chairs, but the chemicals they pumped into her body made her feel sick in ways she'd never experienced before. Not just nauseous, completely drained like someone had unplugged her from whatever gave her energy. After her first week of treatment, Luna couldn't paint. Her hands shook too much and she felt too tired to even hold a brush. She spent most of her time sleeping or sitting in the garage studio, just looking at her canvases. "Maybe I should get a job," she told her mother one evening. "Something I can do from home." "Absolutely not," Isabella said firmly. "Your job right now is getting better. That's it." But Luna couldn't shake the worry she saw in her mother's eyes every time another medical bill arrived in the mail. Isabella had started picking up extra shifts whenever possible, coming home even later and looking more exhausted each day. It was Diego who gave Luna the idea. He was looking through her paintings one afternoon while she rested on the garage couch. "These are really good," he said, stopping at a landscape Luna had painted last summer, like gallery good. "You know Mrs. Peterson down the street? She has paintings in her house that aren't half as nice as this one." "Thanks, little brother." Luna smiled weakly. "I'm serious. Why don't you sell some of these? People would totally buy them." Luna sat up a little straighter. "Sell my paintings? Yeah. Like set up on the street or something? I've seen people do that downtown." The idea seemed crazy at first. Luna had never sold her art before except for those contest prizes. But as she looked around the garage at dozens of completed canvases, she started to wonder. What if Diego was right? What if people would buy her paintings? The next morning, Luna felt strong enough to get out of bed early. She spent an hour going through her paintings, selecting pieces she thought might appeal to strangers. A sunset over the desert mountains. A portrait of an elderly woman feeding pigeons in the park. An abstract piece with swirling blues and greens that reminded her of water. "What are you doing?" Isabella asked, finding Luna wrapping paintings in old bedsheets. "I'm going to try something," Luna said. "Diego gave me an idea." Isabella listened as Luna explained her plan to set up on the sidewalk downtown and sell her art. At first, her mother looked skeptical. "Mija, I don't know if that's safe." "And you're supposed to be resting." "I can rest between customers," Luna said with a small smile. "Come on, Mom, what's the worst that could happen? If nobody buys anything, I'll come home." Isabella finally agreed to drive Luna downtown on Saturday morning. They chose a spot on Central Avenue, near the farmer's market where there would be foot traffic. Luna arranged 12 paintings against the brick wall of a coffee shop, each one carefully propped up to catch the morning light. She made simple signs on cardboard. Original art, $50 to $150, and local artist, all sales help fund medical treatment. The first few hours were slow. People would stop, look at the paintings, nod politely, and keep walking. A few asked questions about her technique or what inspired certain pieces. One elderly man studied her desert sunset for a long time before shaking his head and moving on. "Maybe the prices are too high," Luna said to Diego, who had insisted on coming to help. "No way," he replied. "These are worth way more than what you're asking." Around noon, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes stopped at the painting of the elderly woman feeding pigeons. "Did you paint this?" she asked Luna. "Yes, ma'am. It reminds me of my grandmother. She used to do the same thing every morning in her neighborhood." The woman studied the painting for another minute. "How much?" $75. "I'll take it," Luna's first sale. As the woman handed over the cash, she asked about the medical treatment sign. "I have leukemia," Luna explained simply. "The treatment is pretty expensive." "You're very brave," the woman said. "And very talented. I hope things go well for you." After she left, Luna stared at the $75 in her hand. It wasn't much compared to what she needed, but it was something. More importantly, someone had connected with her art enough to take it home. The rest of the day brought a few more sales. A young couple bought the abstract blue-green piece for their new apartment. A man in a business suit purchased a small portrait for $50, saying it would look perfect in his office. By the end of the day, Luna had made $225. She felt exhausted but hopeful in a way she hadn't experienced since her diagnosis. "Not bad for a first day," Isabella said as they loaded the remaining paintings back into the car. Luna decided to return the next Saturday and the Saturday after that. Word started to spread in small ways. The coffee shop owner, Tom, told his regular customers about the young artist outside. Some of the farmers' market vendors mentioned Luna to their customers. A local blogger who wrote about Phoenix arts and culture stopped by during Luna's third weekend. She wrote a short piece about Luna's story, including photos of a few paintings. The blog post got shared on social media, and suddenly more people knew about the girl selling art to fund her cancer treatment. Sales picked up gradually. Luna started bringing different paintings each weekend, rotating through her collection. She painted new pieces during the week when she felt well enough, often working in short bursts between rest periods. The money helped, but it wasn't coming in fast enough. After a month of weekend sales, Luna had raised about $1,500. It was encouraging, but still nowhere near what her family needed for the full treatment. Some days were harder than others. The chemotherapy made Luna's hair start falling out, and she began wearing colorful scarves that Diego picked out for her. There were Saturdays when she felt too sick to set up her sidewalk gallery, and Saturdays when she sat with her paintings but sold nothing at all. "Maybe I should try online," Luna told her art teacher, Mrs. Chen, during one of her visits to the school. "That's a good idea," Mrs. Chen agreed. "But don't give up on the in-person sales either. There's something special about people seeing your work in real life, meeting the artist." Luna created social media accounts to showcase her art, but the online sales were even slower than the sidewalk ones. People would like and share her posts, offering encouragement and support, but actual purchases were rare. Still, Luna kept painting and kept setting up downtown every weekend she felt strong enough. Each sale, no matter how small, felt like a victory. Each person who stopped to look at her work and say something encouraging gave her energy to keep going. Isabella started helping more on weekends, bringing folding chairs and a small table to make the setup more professional. Diego appointed himself as Luna's marketing manager, telling everyone at school about his sister's artwork. "You should see her butterfly painting," he would tell anyone who would listen. "It's like the butterfly is breaking free from this hospital room. It's so cool." Luna was working on that butterfly painting more and more. She'd started it before her diagnosis, but now it meant something different. The butterfly wasn't just breaking out of a cocoon anymore. It was breaking free from everything that tried to hold it back. Fear, sickness, limitations. As autumn turned to winter, Luna realized that selling her art had become about more than just raising money. It was keeping her connected to who she was beyond being a cancer patient. When people stopped to admire her work, they weren't seeing someone who was sick. They were seeing an artist, and that made all the difference. 3 months into her sidewalk art venture, Luna had established a rhythm. Every Saturday morning, she and Diego would load her paintings into Isabella's old Honda and drive downtown to Central Avenue. She'd claimed the same spot outside Tom's coffee house, and regular customers had started looking forward to seeing what new pieces she'd bring each week. This particular Saturday in January felt different. Luna woke up feeling more tired than usual. The chemotherapy had been especially rough that week. Her oncologist had warned her that some cycles would be harder than others, and this was definitely one of those times. "Maybe you should stay home today," Isabella suggested over breakfast, noticing the dark circles under Luna's eyes. "No, I want to go," Luna insisted, though her voice lacked its usual determination. "I finished a new piece this week. I want to see how people react to it." The new painting was her most personal work yet. She'd called it Metamorphosis, and it showed a butterfly emerging from what looked like a cocoon at first glance. But if you looked closer, you could see that the cocoon was actually a hospital room, complete with IV bags that transformed into delicate wing patterns. It had taken her weeks to complete, working in short sessions when her hands weren't shaking from treatment. Diego helped her set up the display, arranging the paintings along the brick wall with extra care. Luna's collection had grown over the months. She now had nearly 30 pieces to choose from, rotating different ones each weekend based on her mood and what she thought might appeal to passers-by. "This new one is incredible," Diego said, stepping back to admire the butterfly painting. "Like, it gives me chills just looking at it." Luna managed a weak smile. "Thanks, little brother." The morning started slowly. A few regular customers stopped by to say hello and see her new work. Mrs. Patterson, a retired teacher who had bought 3 paintings over the past months, spent a long time studying Metamorphosis. "Oh, honey, this one is special," she said, touching Luna's arm gently. "Really special. You've captured something here that I can't quite put into words." "Thank you," Luna replied, settling into her folding chair. She'd had to start sitting more during her art sales. Standing for hours was becoming too difficult. As the afternoon wore on, Luna found herself struggling to stay focused. The medication made her mind feel foggy sometimes. and she caught herself staring off into space instead of engaging with potential customers. Diego had gone to grab them lunch from a nearby food truck, leaving Luna alone with her paintings for the first time in weeks. That's when she noticed him. A tall black man, in an expensive-looking charcoal gray suit, was standing about 10 feet away, studying her artwork with intense concentration. He'd been there for several minutes, moving slowly from painting to painting, but always returning to metamorphosis. There was something about the way he looked at her work, not like someone casually browsing, but like someone who really understood what he was seeing. Luna tried to summon her usual sales energy, but she just felt so drained. She pulled her colorful headscarf tighter around her head and picked up her sketchbook, trying to look busy while keeping an eye on the potential customer. The man stepped closer to the butterfly painting, crouching down to examine the details. Luna noticed his expensive watch and perfectly polished shoes. Definitely not her typical customer. Most of the people who bought her art were locals who appreciated supporting a young artist. Not wealthy-looking businessmen. Finally, he approached her chair. "Excuse me?" he said in a deep voice with just a hint of a southern accent. "Are you the artist?" "Yes, sir," Luna replied, trying to sit up straighter despite her fatigue. "This painting here," he gestured toward Metamorphosis. "It's extraordinary. Can you tell me about it?" Luna felt a spark of her old enthusiasm return. "I painted it during my treatment. I have leukemia, and I've been doing chemotherapy for the past few months. The butterfly is breaking free from what looks like a cocoon, but it's actually emerging from a hospital room. The IV lines become part of its wings." The man nodded slowly, his eyes moving between Luna and the painting. "How much are you asking for it?" $200, Luna said, her heart beating a little faster. It was her highest price piece, and no one had been willing to pay that much yet. "And how much do you need?" "For your treatment, I mean." The question caught Luna off guard. Most people didn't ask for specific numbers about her medical expenses. Well, we still owe about $50,000, she admitted. "My mom works really hard, but the treatments are expensive even with insurance." The man was quiet for a long moment, still studying the painting. "What's your name?" "Luna. Luna Rodriguez." "Well, Luna Rodriguez, I'm James Washington." He extended his hand, and Luna noticed his firm but gentle handshake. "I'd like to buy this painting. But first, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why butterflies? Why not something else?" Luna thought about how to explain it. "I guess because butterflies have to completely break down before they can become what they're meant to be. Like inside the cocoon, they basically turn into soup before they rebuild themselves into something that can fly. That's kind of how the cancer treatment feels. Everything I was before is being broken down, but hopefully something stronger comes out on the other side." James Washington smiled for the first time since approaching her booth. "That's a beautiful way to look at it. My little sister had leukemia when she was about your age. She didn't make it, but she taught me more about courage in 2 years than I learned in all the rest of my life combined." "I'm sorry," Luna said softly. "Thank you. She would have loved your painting. She would have understood exactly what you were trying to say." He pulled out his phone. "I'm going to buy this piece, but I'd also like to do something else if you'll let me." Luna watched as he opened what looked like a banking app on his phone. "What's your Venmo or PayPal information?" Luna Rodriguez art," she said, confused about why he needed her payment information when he was the one buying the painting. James typed something into his phone, then showed Luna the screen. She stared at it, not understanding what she was seeing at first. Then the numbers registered and her mouth fell open. He was transferring $50,000 to her account. "Wait," Luna said, her voice barely a whisper. "That can't be right." That's too much money." "It's exactly the right amount," James said calmly. "You said you need $50,000 for your treatment. Now you have it." Luna felt dizzy, and not from the chemotherapy this time. "But I don't understand. You don't even know me. Why would you—" "Because my sister never got the chance to see her own metamorphosis," James replied. "But you're going to see yours. And maybe along the way you'll help other people see theirs too." Tears started streaming down Luna's face. She tried to speak but couldn't find any words. Diego appeared at that moment with their lunch, took one look at Luna crying, and immediately dropped the food bags. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "Diego," Luna managed to say, "this is Mr. Washington. He just paid for my entire treatment." Diego stared at James, then at Luna, then back at James. Are you serious right now? James chuckled. Very serious. But that's not all I'd like to do. Over the next hour, as word of what had happened began to spread among the weekend crowd, James made phone call after phone call. Luna listened in amazement as he described her story to person after person. David, I need you to see something, he would say. There's a young artist here who's selling paintings to fund her cancer treatment. Her work is incredible and her story is even more incredible. People started showing up, friends and colleagues of James who lived in Phoenix, then people calling in from other cities, wanting to buy paintings sight unseen based on James's recommendation. Tom, the coffee shop owner, came outside to see what all the commotion was about and ended up helping Luna document each sale. By evening, Luna had sold 18 paintings. Pieces that had been sitting unsold for weeks were suddenly in high demand. The abstract ocean piece went for $800 to a collector in Los Angeles. Her portrait of the pigeon-feeding woman sold for $600 to someone in New York who said it reminded them of their grandmother. This is insane, Diego kept saying, helping Luna keep track of the sales. This is absolutely insane. When Isabella arrived to pick them up, expecting their usual modest Saturday earnings, she found Luna surrounded by empty easels and a notebook full of sale records totaling over $12,000 for the day, not counting James's initial $50,000 transfer. What happened here? Isabella asked, looking around in bewilderment. James stepped forward and introduced himself. Your daughter is an extraordinary artist and an extraordinary young woman. Today a lot of people discovered that. As they packed up the few remaining paintings, James handed Luna his business card. I'd like to stay in touch if that's okay. I think what you're doing, using art to heal, to express your journey, to connect with people, I think it's important. And I think my sister would have wanted me to help however I can. Luna looked at the card. James Washington, founder and CEO, Washington Tech Solutions. You're in technology? She asked. Healthcare technology specifically. We develop software that helps hospitals manage patient care more efficiently. It's been successful enough that I can afford to support causes I believe in. As they drove home that evening, Luna stared out the window at the desert landscape rushing by. Everything looked the same as it had that morning, but somehow completely different. She was still sick. She still had months of treatment ahead of her. But for the first time since her diagnosis, she felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Mom, she said quietly, do you think Dad would be proud? Isabella reached back and squeezed Luna's hand. Isabella's husband had died in a construction accident when Luna was 12. Baby, he would be so proud he'd probably cry. Just like I'm doing right now. That night, Luna sat in her garage studio, not painting, but just thinking. James had changed her life in a single afternoon, but she knew this was just the beginning of something bigger. She picked up her phone and looked at her social media accounts, which had exploded with new followers and messages of support throughout the day. Maybe Diego had been right all along. Maybe her art really was gallery-worthy. Maybe her story could help other people going through their own metamorphoses. Maybe breaking down completely was just the first step toward becoming something beautiful. Luna barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she kept thinking about the numbers in her bank account. $50,000. More money than her family had ever seen at one time. Enough to cover her entire treatment without her mother having to work herself to exhaustion, picking up extra shifts. But it wasn't just the money that kept her awake. It was the way James Washington had looked at her paintings, especially Metamorphosis. The way he'd understood exactly what she was trying to express without her having to explain every detail. And the sadness in his eyes when he mentioned his sister. Sunday morning brought something Luna had never experienced before. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Text messages, Instagram notifications, friend requests, comments on her art page. The story of what had happened yesterday was spreading faster than she could keep up with. Luna, you need to see this, Diego said, bursting into her room with his laptop. Someone posted a video of yesterday on TikTok, and it has like 50,000 views already. Luna watched in amazement as a stranger's phone video showed James Washington studying her paintings, their conversation, and the moment he showed her the $50,000 transfer. The video was titled Millionaire CEO Discovers Teen Artist Fighting Cancer. What happens next will shock you. Millionaire? Luna said. How do they know he's a millionaire? Diego clicked on another tab. Because I looked him up. Luna, this guy isn't just rich. He's like really, really rich. His company went public 2 years ago, and he's worth over $300 million. Luna stared at her brother. $300 million? Yeah, and get this. His company makes software for hospitals. Like the same kind of hospitals where you get your treatment. And look at this article from last year. Diego clicked on another link. He donated $20 million to children's cancer research. 20 million, Luna. The article showed a photo of James at a charity gala, accepting an award for his philanthropic work. But what caught Luna's attention was a smaller photo in the sidebar. James with a young black girl who looked to be about Luna's age. Both of them smiling at the camera. That must be his sister, Luna said softly. The one who had leukemia. Her name was Zoe, Diego read from the article. It says here she was an artist too. She died when she was 18, and that's when James started his foundation for young artists with serious illnesses. Luna felt her chest tighten. No wonder James had connected so deeply with her story and her artwork. She wasn't just some random street artist to him. She was probably a lot like his sister had been. Isabella appeared in the doorway, still in her work uniform from her morning cleaning job. Mija, there are reporters outside our house. Reporters. Luna sat up quickly, immediately regretting the sudden movement as her head spun. 3 of them. They want to interview you about what happened yesterday. One of them is from Channel 12 News. Luna looked at Diego, who was practically bouncing with excitement. You're going to be on TV? But Luna felt overwhelmed. Yesterday had been incredible but private. Just her and James and the small crowd that had gathered. The idea of her story being broadcast to thousands of people felt scary. Her phone rang, a number she didn't recognize. Hello? Is this Luna Rodriguez? The voice was professional, probably a reporter. Yes. This is Patricia Gomez from Channel 12 News. We'd love to do a story about your artwork and what happened yesterday with the businessman who helped fund your treatment. Would you be available for a brief interview? Luna looked at her mother, who nodded encouragingly. Okay. I guess so. The interview was surreal. Luna found herself sitting in her garage studio, surrounded by cameras and lights, trying to explain her art and her cancer journey to a reporter who took notes on everything she said. They filmed her painting a new piece, a landscape of the Phoenix Mountains at sunset that she'd started the week before. What do you want people to know about your story? The reporter asked. I guess that art can help you through really hard times, Luna said, wiping paint from her hands. When I'm painting, I'm not thinking about being sick or scared. I'm just thinking about colors and how to show what I'm feeling. And maybe if people see my paintings, they'll understand that you can find beauty, even in difficult situations. What's next for you? Luna considered the question. I want to keep painting. And I want to keep getting better. Maybe someday I can help other kids who are going through what I'm going through. After the news crew left, Luna's phone started ringing again. This time it was James Washington. Luna, I hope you don't mind me calling. I wanted to check how you're doing with all the attention your story is getting. It's pretty overwhelming, Luna admitted. I'm not used to this many people caring about my art. I understand. Fame can be difficult to navigate, especially when you're dealing with health challenges. I wanted to let you know that if you ever need advice or just someone to talk to who understands, you can call me. Thank you. That means a lot. There's something else, James continued. I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday, about your art and your healing journey. I'd like to propose something if you're interested. Luna felt her heart speed up. What kind of something? I'd like to commission you to create a series of paintings for my company's headquarters. We're opening a new building in 6 months, and I think your work would be perfect for our healing arts wing. We have a section dedicated to employee wellness and patient family support services. You want to hire me? Like as a real artist? James chuckled. Luna, you are a real artist. What happened yesterday proved that beyond any doubt. I'm talking about a formal commission. 12 paintings over the next year, your choice of subjects, $50,000 total compensation. Luna nearly dropped the phone. $50,000? For 12 paintings? That's about $4,000 per piece, which is actually quite reasonable for original artwork of your quality. And there's no rush. You work at your own pace around your treatment schedule. After they hung up, Luna sat in her studio chair, staring at her paintings with new eyes. James Washington wasn't just being charitable. He genuinely believed her art was worth paying for. Professional money. Real artist money. The Channel 12 story aired that evening, and Luna watched with her family as her garage studio appeared on television. Seeing herself on screen was strange. She looked smaller and more fragile than she felt, but her voice sounded stronger than she'd expected. "Look at you," Isabella said, squeezing Luna's hand. "My daughter, the famous artist." But fame brought complications Luna hadn't anticipated. By Monday morning, her social media accounts were flooded with messages. Most were supportive and encouraging, but some were harder to handle. People were asking her to paint specific things for their own family members with cancer. Others wanted to know if she could help them contact James Washington for their own medical expenses. A few messages were from other young artists asking for advice on how to get their own wealthy benefactor. Luna realized that what had happened to her was incredibly rare and special. She'd been in the right place at the right time with the right art, to connect with someone who had both the means and the motivation to help. That combination was like lightning striking. The most meaningful message came Tuesday afternoon, from an email address she didn't recognize. "Dear Luna, my name is Rebecca Chen, and I'm a social worker at Phoenix Children's Hospital. I saw your story on the news and I wanted to reach out because we have several young patients who are also artists. They're struggling with the same challenges you've faced, trying to continue creating while dealing with serious illnesses. Would you be interested in visiting them sometime? I think they would be inspired to meet someone who's been through what they're going through and come out the other side with such beautiful art. No pressure at all. I know you have your own healing to focus on. But if you're ever interested, we'd love to have you. Sincerely, Rebecca." Luna read the email 3 times. Other kids like her, trying to create while fighting for their lives. Kids who might understand exactly what metamorphosis was trying to say. She picked up her phone and called James. "I have an idea," she said when he answered. "What if the commission paintings you want me to create, what if we made them specifically for sick kids? Like paintings that would hang in children's hospitals or treatment centers, art that would help other young patients feel less alone?" "Luna," James said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. "I think that's exactly what Zoe would have wanted. Let's make it happen." That night, Luna started sketching ideas for the hospital series. Butterflies transforming in different ways, warriors in colorful armor that looked like treatment equipment, gardens growing out of what appeared to be medical machines, art that would tell other kids that healing could be beautiful, that breaking down was sometimes the first step toward becoming something stronger. She was no longer just painting for herself or even for her medical bills. She was painting for every kid who had ever felt scared in a hospital bed, every young person who had wondered if they were strong enough to fight their own battle, every child who needed to believe that metamorphosis was possible. The story was far from over. In fact, Luna realized it was just beginning. 1 year later, Luna stood in front of the Phoenix Children's Hospital, holding a large wrapped canvas. Her hair had grown back in soft curls that she wore loose around her shoulders, and her cheeks had color in them again. The exhaustion that had shadowed her for so many months was gone, replaced by an energy that felt different than before. Steadier, more purposeful. "You ready for this?" James Washington asked, standing beside her. Over the past year, he had become not just a benefactor, but a mentor and friend. He'd guided Luna through the business side of being a professional artist, helped her set up a proper studio space, and most importantly, listened when she needed someone who understood loss and healing. "I think so," Luna replied, adjusting her grip on the painting. "It feels surreal, you know? A year ago, I was sitting on a sidewalk hoping someone would buy a $50 painting. Now I'm donating original artwork to a hospital." "A year ago, you were already the artist you are today," James said gently. "You just needed the world to catch up and see what was always there." The painting Luna carried was the centerpiece of her hospital commission series, a large canvas showing dozens of butterflies in different stages of metamorphosis, each one emerging from a different kind of cocoon. Medical equipment, hospital beds, IV bags, all transformed into beautiful structures that enabled rather than confined. It had taken her 3 months to complete, working slowly and carefully to get every detail right. Dr. Rebecca Chen, the social worker who had first reached out to Luna, met them at the hospital entrance with a group of young patients who had been eagerly awaiting this moment. Luna had visited the hospital several times over the past year, meeting with kids who were fighting their own battles against cancer, chronic illnesses, and other serious conditions. Each visit had inspired new elements in her artwork. Luna called out a 10-year-old boy named Austin, who was in remission from brain cancer. "Did you bring the butterfly painting?" "I sure did," Luna said, crouching down to his eye level. "Want to help me unwrap it?" The hospital had prepared a small ceremony in the main lobby. Luna's 12 commissioned paintings would be installed throughout the children's wing, but they wanted to unveil the centerpiece publicly. Local news crews were there, and Luna recognized some of the faces from the original crowd that had gathered around her sidewalk art display a year ago. Isabella and Diego sat in the front row, both beaming with pride. Isabella had been able to cut back to just one job once Luna's medical bills were covered, and the family stress that had weighed on all of them for so long had lifted. Diego had started taking art classes himself, inspired by his sister's success. "Before we unveil this beautiful donation," Dr. Chen said to the gathered crowd, "I want to share what Luna's artwork has meant to our young patients. Art has always been part of healing, but Luna's pieces speak specifically to children who are fighting serious illnesses. They see themselves in these paintings, not as victims but as warriors in their own transformation stories." Luna felt nervous as they prepared to unveil the painting. This wasn't like her street art sales where people could walk by if they weren't interested. This was permanent. Children would see this painting during some of the scariest, most difficult moments of their lives. When the covering came off, the lobby filled with gasps and murmurs of appreciation. The butterfly metamorphosis painting was even more striking against the hospital's white walls. The colors seemed to glow under the fluorescent lights, and the details that Luna had worked so carefully to include were visible even from a distance. "It's beautiful," whispered a teenage girl named Camila, who was currently undergoing treatment for leukemia, the same type Luna had fought. "It makes the hospital stuff look magical." That word, magical, made Luna's chest swell with satisfaction. That's exactly what she'd hoped to achieve. After the ceremony, Luna walked through the children's wing with Dr. Chen, seeing her other 11 paintings installed in patient rooms, family waiting areas, and treatment spaces. Each piece was different, but connected by the same theme of transformation and hope. In the chemotherapy infusion center, Luna paused in front of a painting she'd titled Warrior's Garden. It showed a young person in armor that was clearly made from medical equipment. An IV stand became a staff. Monitoring wires became decorative elements, and the hospital gown transformed into flowing battle robes. The warrior stood in a garden that was growing directly out of what appeared to be a treatment chair. "This one is my favorite," said a voice behind her. Luna turned to see Austin, the brain cancer survivor, studying the painting intently. "Why's that?" Luna asked. "Because it shows that you can be strong and sick at the same time. Like being in the hospital doesn't make you weak. It makes you a fighter." Luna knelt down beside him. "You know what? You taught me that. All of you kids did. Before I met patients like you, I thought being sick meant being helpless, but you showed me that some of the strongest people in the world are right here in this hospital." As the afternoon wound down, Luna found herself back in the lobby with James, looking up at the centerpiece painting. Other visitors to the hospital stopped to admire it, and Luna overheard snippets of their conversations. "Look at how detailed it is. My daughter would love this. It makes you think about change differently." "Luna," James said quietly, "there's something I want to tell you. Something I haven't shared before." Luna looked at him curiously. When Zoe was sick, she painted constantly, right up until the end. Her last painting was of a butterfly, but she never got to finish it. The wings were only half colored in. James's voice was thick with emotion. "Seeing your work, especially this piece, it feels like maybe she did finish it after all. Through you." Luna felt tears spring to her eyes. Over the past year, she'd learned more about James's sister Zoe through their conversations. Zoe had been funny and brave and determined to create beauty, even while fighting for her life. In many ways, Luna felt like she'd gotten to know her. "I think she would have loved your hospital series," James continued. "The way you've turned your experience into something that helps other kids. That's exactly the kind of person she was." 6 months later, Luna received a phone call that would change her life yet again. The Phoenix Art Museum wanted to host a solo exhibition of her work. Not just the hospital series, but a retrospective spanning from her earliest pieces through her latest creations. "A solo show?" Luna repeated into the phone, sure she'd misheard.